Welcome to Everyday English Podcast, a beginner-friendly podcast for improving English skills with simple English. Today, we're diving into a really interesting topic: how to escape the comfort zone trap.
That sounds great. The comfort zone is something many people struggle with. It's that place where we feel safe but can also feel stuck.
Exactly. It's like, being in a cozy blanket. It feels nice, but it can also keep us from trying new things.
Right. And stepping out of that comfort zone can be scary, but it can also lead to amazing growth.
So, what do you think makes it so hard for people to leave their comfort zones?
Well, I think it's mostly about fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown. It's like, we worry about what might happen if we try something new.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easier to stay where we feel comfortable, even if it's not helping us grow.
Exactly. But, recognizing that we are stuck is the first step, right?
Definitely. And then we can start to think about small steps we can take to break free.
Right. Like setting little goals. That can help us push our boundaries without feeling too overwhelmed.
Oh, I love that idea. Small goals can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And, celebrating those small wins is important too.
Yes. It helps to keep us motivated. So, what are some examples of small goals?
Well, it could be something as simple as trying a new hobby or speaking up in a meeting.
Oh, I see. Those are great examples. It's all about taking that first step.
Exactly. And once we take that step, it can feel easier to keep going.
That's so true. And what about when we face setbacks? How do we handle those?
Setbacks are normal. It's important to be kind to ourselves and learn from them.
Yes. Learning from our mistakes can help us build resilience.
Exactly. Each challenge we overcome makes us stronger.
And it can motivate us to keep pushing our limits.
Absolutely. So, what do you think are some good resources for people looking to escape their comfort zones?
I think books and online courses can be really helpful. They offer great tips and strategies.
Yes. And apps for mindfulness can also support us in this journey.
That's a great point. Mindfulness can help us manage our fears.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up, what's one final piece of advice for our listeners?
I'd say, just remember that growth takes time. Be patient with yourself.
And embrace the journey. Each step out of your comfort zone is a step towards a more fulfilling life.
Thank you all for joining us today. Keep pushing those boundaries.
Yes. Until next time, stay curious and keep growing.
Before we dive deeper into strategies for escaping this trap, let's define what exactly the comfort zone is. How would you describe it?
Well, the comfort zone is that sweet spot of familiarity where things are always predictable and manageable.
Right. It's like, a safe bubble we create for ourselves. But it can also limit our growth.
Exactly. And while it feels comfortable, it often keeps us from exploring new opportunities.
Yeah, and I think many people don't realize how much they might be missing out on by staying there.
Totally. It's like, you get so used to the routine that stepping out feels daunting.
So true. And I guess that's why many people hesitate to take that first step.
Yeah, fear of change can be really powerful. But understanding what the comfort zone is can help us recognize when we're stuck.
Exactly. So, what do you think are some signs that someone is in their comfort zone?
Well, if you find yourself doing the same things every day without excitement or challenge, that's a big sign.
Oh, that makes sense. And, feeling bored or unfulfilled can also be indicators, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes, people might even feel anxious about trying something new, which keeps them in that zone.
Yeah, that anxiety can be paralyzing. So, how can we start to shift out of that space?
Well, one way is to set small, achievable goals. It's like dipping your toes into the water before jumping in.
Oh, I love that analogy. It makes it sound less intimidating.
Exactly. And, celebrating those small victories can really help build confidence.
Yes. It's all about creating a positive feedback loop, right?
Exactly. The more we succeed, even in small ways, the more motivated we feel to take bigger steps.
And that's so important for personal growth. It's like, each step builds on the last.
Right. And, it's crucial to remember that everyone's journey out of their comfort zone looks different.
Yes. So, it's not about comparing ourselves to others but focusing on our own progress.
Exactly. And with that mindset, we can really thrive.
So, let's talk about why people tend to stay in their comfort zones. What do you think makes it so appealing?
Well, it really comes down to our natural instincts. We're wired to seek safety, right?
Exactly. It's like our brains are hardwired to prefer what feels secure and familiar.
Yeah. And when we're in that safe space, our brains release dopamine, which makes us feel good.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So, the more we stay in that comfort zone, the more we want to stay there.
Right. It's like, a cycle. The predictability keeps us comfortable, but it can also trap us.
So true. And I think many people don't realize how much they might be missing out on.
Exactly. It's almost like being in a cozy bubble. But sometimes, that bubble can be limiting.
Yeah, and I guess that's why stepping out can feel so daunting for many.
Definitely. The thought of the unknown can be really intimidating.
And that fear can stop us from exploring new opportunities.
Exactly. But, recognizing that we're in that comfort zone is the first step to breaking free.
Right. So, what do you think are some ways to help people realize they need to step out?
Well, maybe encouraging them to reflect on their feelings. If they feel bored or unfulfilled, that's a sign.
Oh, I see. So, it's about tuning into those emotions and recognizing the need for change.
Exactly. And sometimes, sharing stories of others who have stepped out can inspire them.
Yes. Hearing about someone else's journey can make it feel more achievable.
And it can also help them see that setbacks are normal, right?
Absolutely. It's all part of the process of growth.
So, what do you think is a good first step for someone ready to break free?
I think starting with small changes can be really effective. Like, trying a new activity or meeting new people.
Yeah. Those little steps can build confidence and make the bigger changes feel less scary.
Exactly. And celebrating those small wins can keep the motivation going.
Right. It's all about creating a positive feedback loop.
So, to sum it up, recognizing the comfort zone and taking small steps can really help us grow.
Absolutely. And remember, it's okay to feel scared. Just take that first step.
But how do you recognize when you're stuck in your comfort zone? What are some signs that things might be getting too routine?
Well, signs can really vary, but feeling stagnant is a big one. When you wake up and realize every day feels the same.
Oh, definitely. That sense of monotony can be a huge red flag.
Exactly. And then there's the lack of motivation. If you find yourself avoiding even small challenges, that's a sign too.
Right. It's like, fear can creep in and make even minor tasks feel daunting.
Yes. And over time, that can lead to complacency. You might miss out on opportunities for growth.
So true. It's like, you get so comfortable that you forget there's a whole world out there to explore.
Exactly. And that's why recognizing these signs is so important. It's the first step to change.
Speaking of change, let's talk about practical strategies to escape the comfort zone.
Absolutely. One effective strategy is to set small, achievable goals.
Oh, I love that. Starting small can make it less overwhelming.
Right. Like, if you want to try a new hobby, just commit to one session. That's manageable.
Yes. And celebrating those little victories can really boost your confidence.
Exactly. It's all about creating a positive cycle. The more you succeed, the more you want to try.
And what about accountability? Do you think sharing your goals with someone can help?
Oh, definitely. Having someone to support you can make a huge difference.
Yeah. It's like having a cheerleader in your corner, pushing you to take those steps.
Exactly. And you can also encourage each other when things get tough.
So, what's another strategy people can use?
Well, trying new experiences can be really beneficial. Even something simple like taking a different route to work.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's about shaking up the routine, right?
Exactly. It helps you see things from a new perspective.
And that can spark creativity and motivation.
Yes. And, it's important to remember that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. That's part of the process.
Right. Embracing that discomfort can lead to significant growth.
Absolutely. So, let's encourage our listeners to take that leap, even if it's just a small one.
Yes. Every little step counts. You're doing amazing just by thinking about it.
Exactly. So, what's one final piece of advice you'd give to someone ready to break free?
I'd say, just take that first step. It doesn't have to be big, just something that pushes you a little.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're all in it together.
So, how do you start breaking free from the comfort zone?
Well, first, you really need to acknowledge your fear. It's important to understand what keeps you stuck.
That makes sense. Identifying those fears can be a big eye-opener.
Exactly. Once you know what's holding you back, you can start to tackle it. Then, setting small, achievable goals is a great next step.
Oh, yes. Those little goals can help push your boundaries without feeling overwhelming.
Right. It's like taking baby steps. You don't have to leap into the deep end right away.
And I love the idea of visualization. Imagining those first steps can really motivate you.
Yes. Visualizing success can make the discomfort feel more manageable.
So, what do you think about resilience? How does it play into this process?
Well, resilience is crucial. When you step out of your comfort zone, setbacks are likely to happen.
Yeah, and it can be tough to deal with those setbacks. So, how do we build that resilience?
One way is to view setbacks as learning opportunities. Instead of seeing them as failures, think of them as lessons.
Oh, I like that perspective. It can really shift how we handle challenges.
Exactly. And being kind to yourself during those tough times is important too.
So true. Self-compassion can really help us bounce back.
Yes. And remember, building resilience takes time. It's a process, just like stepping out of your comfort zone.
Right. So, what's one practical tip for someone looking to build resilience?
I'd say, keep a journal. Write down your experiences, including setbacks and how you overcame them.
Oh, that's a great idea. Reflecting on our journey can really help us see our growth.
Absolutely. It can remind you of your strength when you face new challenges.
And it's a nice way to celebrate those small wins too.
Exactly. So, let's encourage our listeners to embrace both the discomfort and the resilience that comes with it.
Yes. Remember, every step you take is a step towards growth.
And you're not alone in this journey. We're all in it together.
So, how do you cultivate resilience?
Well, building resilience really involves developing a growth mindset, you know?
Oh, definitely. A growth mindset helps you see challenges as opportunities, right?
Exactly. And self-compassion plays a huge role too. Being kind to yourself during tough times is essential.
Yeah. It's like, instead of beating yourself up for mistakes, you learn from them.
Exactly. Each time you overcome something challenging, it reinforces your belief in your ability to succeed.
That's such a powerful point. So, can you share any stories of success that illustrate this?
Sure. I remember working with a client who struggled with public speaking. At first, they were terrified.
Oh, I can imagine. That's a common fear.
Right? So, we started small. They practiced in front of a mirror, then with friends. Each time, they felt a bit more confident.
That's great. So, they built their resilience step by step.
Exactly. And eventually, they gave a presentation at work. It was a huge success, and they felt so proud.
Wow. That's an inspiring story. It shows how taking small steps can lead to big changes.
Absolutely. And it's all about celebrating those small victories along the way.
Yes. Each win adds to your confidence. So, what other strategies can help build resilience?
Well, reflecting on past challenges can be really helpful too. It reminds you of your strength.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like keeping a mental scrapbook of your successes.
Exactly. And sharing your experiences with others can also create a support system.
That's so true. Community support can really boost resilience.
Yes. And, being open to feedback can help you grow too.
Right. It's about learning from others and not being afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. So, let's encourage our listeners to embrace their journeys and cultivate resilience.
Yes. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger.
And you're not alone in this process. We're all in it together.
So, let's dive into some inspiring stories of people who have successfully escaped their comfort zones. Who do you have in mind?
Well, I can think of a few examples. One that stands out is a woman who was terrified of public speaking. She started by joining a local Toastmasters club.
Oh, Toastmasters. That's a great way to practice. How did she feel about it at first?
Initially, she was really nervous. But, after a few meetings, she began to gain confidence. Eventually, she gave a speech at a national conference.
Wow. That's quite a leap. So, what can we learn from her experience?
I think it shows that starting small can lead to big changes. She didn't jump straight into the big stage, she took gradual steps.
Exactly. And that's so important. It's about building up that confidence over time.
Right. And another great example is a man who decided to travel solo for the first time. He had always relied on friends for travel.
Oh, that sounds intimidating. How did he handle it?
He started by planning a short trip to a nearby city. Once he got comfortable with that, he booked a longer trip abroad.
That's fantastic. So, he faced his fears step by step.
Exactly. And now he travels solo regularly. It really transformed his perspective on life.
That's a powerful story. What do you think we can take away from these examples?
Well, they both highlight the importance of taking action, no matter how small. It's all about pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. And I think it also emphasizes the value of community support. Joining groups like Toastmasters or travel forums can be so helpful.
Yes. Having a support system can make a huge difference. So, speaking of resources, where can people find tools to help them push their comfort zones?
Great question. Are there any apps, books, or online courses you'd recommend?
There are many fantastic resources out there. For apps, I'd suggest trying mindfulness apps like Headspace or Calm. They can help manage anxiety.
Oh, I love those. They really help you focus and calm your mind.
Exactly. And for books, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown is a great read. It talks about vulnerability and stepping out of your comfort zone.
That's a powerful book. It really encourages you to embrace vulnerability.
Absolutely. And online courses like those on platforms like Coursera or Udemy can offer practical skills for personal growth.
Yes. They have courses on everything from public speaking to creative writing. So many options.
Exactly. The key is to find what resonates with you and take that first step.
Right. And remember, it's okay to feel scared. Just take it one step at a time.
Yes. Each step brings you closer to growth and new experiences.
Finally, let's look at how these tips and strategies can be applied in real-life situations.
Absolutely. I think one of the best resources out there is the book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It really dives into behavior change.
Oh, yes. That book emphasizes the power of small habits, right? Like how tiny changes can lead to big results over time.
Exactly. It's all about making those little adjustments. They add up. And I think that's a great way to start stepping out of your comfort zone.
Definitely. And what about online courses? Platforms like Coursera and Udemy have so many options for personal development.
Yes. They offer courses on everything from overcoming fear to building confidence. It's like having a coach right at your fingertips.
That's a great point. And you can learn at your own pace, which makes it less intimidating.
Exactly. Plus, you can choose topics that resonate with you. It's all about finding what works for you.
And let's not forget about mobile apps. Apps like Headspace can really help with mindfulness and self-awareness.
Oh, for sure. Mindfulness is such a powerful tool. It helps you manage anxiety and stay present.
Right. And being present can make it easier to face those fears when stepping out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. So, combining these resources can really create a supportive environment for growth.
Yes. It's like building your own toolkit for personal development.
And the more tools you have, the more equipped you feel to tackle challenges.
So, what would you say is the first step someone should take to apply these strategies?
I'd suggest starting with a small habit from Atomic Habits. Maybe focus on one tiny change this week.
Oh, I love that idea. And then, perhaps sign up for a course that excites you?
Yes. That way, you're actively learning and pushing your boundaries at the same time.
And don't forget to incorporate mindfulness practices. Even just a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Exactly. It all ties together. Small habits, continuous learning, and mindfulness create a solid foundation for growth.
So, let's encourage our listeners to take that first step. You're doing amazing just by considering these options.
Yes. Remember, every little step counts. You've got this.
So, when it comes to trying new things, like a hobby or even a career change, what do you think is the first step?
Well, the first step is really identifying your fear. What is it that's holding you back?
Right. It's about understanding that fear, isn't it? Like, if someone is afraid of failing at a new hobby, they need to recognize that fear first.
Exactly. Once you identify it, you can start to address it. Then, setting small, achievable goals is key.
Oh, yes. Small goals make it feel less overwhelming. Like, if someone wants to learn guitar, maybe they can start by just learning one chord.
Yes. And celebrating that small win can really boost their confidence. It's all about those little steps.
And what about taking those first steps? How can someone push themselves to actually start?
Well, they could schedule a time to practice, even if it's just for 10 minutes. That commitment can make a big difference.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like making it part of your routine, right?
Exactly. And, when it comes to leading a team, it's similar. You need to recognize your fears about leadership.
Yes. Like, maybe someone is afraid of not being respected by their team.
Right. So, they could start by setting small goals, like having one-on-one meetings with team members to build rapport.
That's a great point. Building those relationships can really help ease that fear.
Absolutely. And cultivating resilience is crucial too. When things don't go as planned, it's important to bounce back.
So true. It's all about learning from those experiences, right?
Yes. Each setback can teach you something valuable. It's part of the growth process.
And that's what makes it all worthwhile. So, what would you say to someone who's hesitant to take that first step?
I'd say, just remember that everyone starts somewhere. Taking that first step, no matter how small, is a victory in itself.
Yes. And you're doing amazing just by thinking about it.
Exactly. So, let's encourage our listeners to embrace their fears and take those small steps towards their goals.
So, let's talk about how taking small actions can really lead us out of our comfort zones, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, every little step counts. Over time, those small actions can really add up.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that this process doesn't happen overnight.
Right. It takes dedication and self-awareness to recognize when you're stuck.
And perseverance is key too. It's about pushing through those moments of discomfort.
Absolutely. Each time you step out, even just a little, you're building a more fulfilling life.
So, what are some practical actions people can take to start this journey?
Well, they could start by trying something new each week. Like, cooking a new recipe or taking a different route to work.
Oh, I love that. Those small changes can really shake things up.
Exactly. And, even just talking to someone new can be a great step.
Yes. It's about expanding your comfort zone bit by bit.
Right. And celebrating those little victories along the way is so important.
Oh, for sure. It keeps you motivated to keep going.
And it reminds you that progress is happening, even if it feels slow.
So true. And, what about setbacks? How should people handle those?
Well, I think it's crucial to be kind to yourself. Setbacks are part of the journey.
Absolutely. Learning from those experiences can help you grow.
Yes. Each setback can teach you something valuable.
So, let's encourage our listeners to embrace this journey. It's all about the process, right?
Definitely. Remember, breaking free from your comfort zone is achievable with patience and effort.
And it's empowering to know that each step you take is a step towards a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. You're doing amazing just by considering these changes.
As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind everyone to embrace this journey as an opportunity for growth.
Absolutely. It's all about learning and making connections along the way, right?
Exactly. Each step outside our comfort zone can lead to new experiences that enrich our lives.
And those experiences can really shape who we are, helping us become more resilient.
Yes. So, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
I think it's crucial to remember that stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't have to be a huge leap.
Right. It can be as simple as trying something new each week.
Exactly. Small steps can lead to big changes over time.
And celebrating those small victories is key to staying motivated.
Yes. Each little win adds to your confidence, making the next step feel easier.
So, let's encourage everyone to keep pushing those boundaries.
Definitely. And remember, it's okay to feel a bit scared. That just means you're growing.
And with that, we want to thank our guest for joining us today.
Yes. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the Peak Performance Podcast.
Stay positive, stay resilient, and keep stepping out of your comfort zone.
Until next time, embrace the journey and all the growth that comes with it.